The Starr and D'Amico Show is brought to you by cheapesttshirts.ca. If you're looking for quality gear without overpaying, shop cheapesttshirts.ca. Huge selection for men, women, and kids. Tees, hoodies, headwear, bags, and more. Proud Montreal business. Order today, ship today, delivery tomorrow. That's cheapesttshirts.ca. Local, fast, and affordable. Brought to you by instacustoms.com. Do you need custom gear from a local Montreal business? Instacustoms.com has you covered. Custom shirts, hoodies, hats, and more made your way. Fast turnaround, great quality, and proudly Montreal-based. Check out instacustoms.com. Brought to you by Cabletel. For trusted alarm systems in Quebec and Eastern Ontario, choose Cabletel. Over 20 years of expert installation and top-tier protection for homes and businesses. Check out Cabletel.com. Email them info@Cabletel.com. It's Cabletel. Peace of mind you can count on. Brought to you by Morella's Steakhouse. Looking for an unforgettable night out? Morella's Steakhouse on Highway 132. It's just 15 minutes from Montreal, serving up premium cuts and bold flavors, and no tax on your bill. Book your table tonight at morellassteakhouse.ca. Taste excellence tonight. Brought to you by Little Bear. Give your pet the best with Little Bear Pet Supply. It's a proudly family-owned business here in Montreal for over 30 years. Chuck, Evie, and their all-star staff have you taken care of with all the top brands at the best prices, and they really care for your pets. Shop online at littlebearonline.com or visit them on St. Catherine across from Westmount Square. It's Little Bear Pet Supply. Brought to you by McLean's Pub. Head over to McLean's Pub, 1210 Peel Street in the heart of downtown Montreal. Great food, cold drinks, and big games on all the screens. McLean's Pub, good times and great company. Well, on this Back to Work Monday, it's a pleasure to be with you live just past 12 o'clock here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Under the weather, but still with us anyway. Marco D'Amico, we missed you Sunday for our Sunday morning, but here you are. I wouldn't say bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but nevertheless alive, which is a very good thing. Good morning. Good afternoon. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody.
So the Montreal Canadiens, my good man, go 0 for 2 over the weekend. They fail to take advantage of a spot where the Red Wings have lost 3 in a row and a chance to build a nice little cushion. They're still in third place in the NHL's Atlantic Division with Detroit playing tonight against Calgary. Boston's on the road in New Jersey. It'll be the Habs and Bruins tomorrow at the Bell Center, and losers of 2 in a row. I just want to go on the record. I'm not a believer that the sky is falling. I'm not here to push the panic button by any stretch, but obviously, Marco, your takeaway from the Canadiens going winless and pointless in 2 games against the California teams this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't overly impressed with the defensive structure over the weekend. I think, Saturday was, I felt, maybe a tighter overall game by their defensive unit. There was a couple of fluky goals from a distance that went in. So I don't necessarily fault the defensive side of the puck for that. But against the Ducks, I mean, unfortunately, and I know we're going to pick on them a lot, but it doesn't matter what pair he's on. I'm having significant difficulties watching Caden Guhle play of late.
Yeah.
It's be it the lack of balance, be it the falling, be it the missed reads, be it the positioning and the over course correction. There just seems to be something off with him, and especially you looked at the game, like there was a goal against the Sharks where the Shark player was against the boards. Guhle tries to go and pin him up against the boards, loses balance and falls backwards. And then the puck goes around and they score. Right. And you're like, okay. And then, again, against the Ducks on the first Leo Carlsson goal, where it's a straight 2-on-2, he just lets Carlsson go right by him. And I understand if you want to let a player go by because you want to play the zone, which the Canadiens don't, they play man to man. But then to let him go behind you and not figure out what's going on and have to force Lane Hutson, who's on the right side as a lefty, trying to just use his stick to stop an errant pass the other way. That's not how it works. You have to tie up your man. You have to play them aggressive. You don't have to lay a hit. That's interference, but you have to tie them up. It's what happens when the Canadiens go into an offensive zone. They get tied up, they get pushed out. Right now, you walk into the Canadian zone, they play so passively that unfortunately they get burned, because you play that passively, especially late in the game. That last goal, the fourth goal, was just like egregiously bad in terms of just how nonchalant they were. And that at this stage of the season is not acceptable. It is not acceptable. And so unfortunately, like I know I'm trying to be constructive in what I'm saying here, because I don't want to just complain, but there are ways to fix this. And I don't know if it's a personnel issue. I don't know if it's a strategy issue, but there's a reason why when I watch Noah Dobson play, I feel whoever plays with him plays a more structured game. Whenever I see someone playing with Caden Guhle, their game gets dragged down as of late. Be it Mike Matheson 2 weeks ago, be it Lane Hutson lately. It's really like I don't know if it's the abdominal injury that's caused this, and has balancing issues and strength issues now, maybe, but there is a notable drop off in play from Caden Guhle from what we are used to seeing from him as of late.
From the Basu and Godet notebook, Arpon Basu was mentioning that they wanted to talk to Caden Guhle after Sunday's loss to Anaheim, and he wasn't made available. Lane Hutson, I think in his words, in Arpon Basu's words, was enraged following the Cutter Gauthier game winner. And basically, Marco, it was a shorthanded goal. The Canadiens had 5 sweaters on the ice. The Ducks were in the middle of a line change. They had 4 sweaters there. Guhle falls down. And also, I mean, there's a couple of questions I want to pick your brain on. There's 16 games left in the season. I mean, the next 5 opponents for the Montreal Canadiens, I mean, buckle up, let's go. I mean, the 3 games this week, it's Boston, it's at Detroit, it's home to the Islanders. They play 4 of their next 5 on Bell Center ice starting Tuesday, right? The one lone game will be Thursday from Detroit. But, I mean, as somebody pointed out here, Andre, look at Caufield. I mean, it's not so much just like pinning it on just the 2 defensemen are on the ice. I mean, Nick Suzuki on Saturday. I mean, granted, it's Macklin Celebrini, it's Leo Carlsson. I mean, the Troy Terry, Kreider, Carlsson line had themselves a performance Sunday night, but it's a collective thing where there's missed assignments and allowing player, to your point about passiveness, allowing big name players, big talent players operating rather freely in areas where you're going to get killed more often than not. And we saw it multiple times over the weekend. Is it not it's a collective more so than it is an individual, right?
Oh, it's definitely a collective. That's why I don't think it's one person.
Right.
I could say the same thing about Alex Carrier on the Saturday game, not being able to clear the net, right? The puck bounces off Colin Graf because Colin Graf could outmuscle Alex Carrier and is able to get inside positioning in front of Dobesh. This was Saturday night. Puck bounces out of him and into the net. Well, if you had a more physical, strong defensive defenseman in that role, that goal doesn't happen. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is the Canadiens. I think the Canadiens have the defense to be able to outscore their opponents. But I'm not sure that they currently have the defense necessary to close out their opponents late in games.
I know it's a tough one. I mean, the chat, they're not happy. I mean, the usual culprits, kind of getting it right. The coach, got to bench this guy, got to bench that guy. To the Canadiens' credit, I'll go to bat for them for a second, right? Like, as I led today's live off, I don't believe the sky is falling. When the Canadiens lost back-to-back to San Jose and Anaheim, they came back, they won 3 in a row. Yes, now they've lost back-to-back. When in late January, they lose to Buffalo and Boston, very similar scorelines, 4-2, 4-3, identical scorelines to be accurate. They came back, they won 3 in a row. They beat the Legs of Vegas, Colorado. They beat the Buffalo Sabres, right? So collectively, they seem to have the swagger. But I wonder about, I mean, does it seem also like psychological that they're uncertain of their decision-making when teams are aggressive in their own end that results in second-guessing your own decisions? Certainly, you look at the Cutter Gauthier goal, I think, is a prime example of just losing yourself positionally, Marco. That cost you a hockey game with 2.5 minutes left in regulation, and you leave with no points.
Yeah, I just don't feel like when I watch this team play, you see some players, like I'm never going to fault a winger for defensive positioning because they're supposed to be covering the high ends and playing more of a zone defense, right? You can't really play man-to-man high.
Right.
Where the goals really come down to it is how you play down low and how you cover the slot. And that's where I feel like the defensive structure really goes like to the wayside. And part of it is, that it'd be Guhle, that it'd be Struble, that it'd be Xhekaj, that it'd be Carrier. It's the same kind of thing where when they come in, like I understand people are going to be like, oh, Arbor Xhekaj is going to come in and play physical. Sure, against the boards, no problem. In front of the net, I can make a highlight reel of how many times the Canadian, like Arbor Xhekaj, has been beat in front of the net. Like it's I don't want to because that's not my job, but I don't buy this. Arbor is the solution. He's not. He's absolutely not. They have a higher structural issue than their bottom pair. And when I look at Arbor play, like Arbor is a very serviceable bottom pair defenseman. I have no problem with that. But even with the way that he plays, he chases the game. Right? And that's the problem is they chase the game, be it from the fact that they play man-to-man so that you're just following guys around the zone. Or if you're playing in front of the net, how many times have the Canadiens defensemen that I've just named been beaten one-on-one in front of the net? It doesn't matter who it is. So it's not how big you are, it's how tough you play and how much you battle. And I think that's what the Canadiens are missing right now in the defense. And that's what the Canadiens tried to go and get at the trade deadline, but unfortunately that fell through. At least we have Hank.
At least we have Hank. A valiant attempt in coming back from the 2-0 deficit they faced early. I mean, the confidence obviously oozes out of them when they have a chance to run and gun offensively with Newhook and Caufield scoring goals 60 seconds apart. Nick Suzuki on a wonderful display of effort from Uri Slafkovsky, who is 2 weeks away from turning 22. I couldn't help but think numerous times, especially after, he basically get off my back, and hooks up with Nick Suzuki to give the Canadiens the lead in that second period.
Ridiculous.
What this kid is going to look like, how he's going to perform 5 years from now. Again, just 21, going to turn 22 in a couple of weeks. I mean, just unbelievable season from Uri Slafkovsky. And yes, I want to talk about Kirby Dach, who took the hit from Jeff Viel early, 3.5 minutes into the first period. Not sure what was said. There was no update post-game on Kirby Dach. Obviously did not finish the game. It looked like, from my vantage point, had a hard time holding his stick, sat on the bench, and then a doctor followed him back into the tunnel with the trainer. So not great news for a future restricted free agent. I want to get Marco's take on what we think Habs management does in this situation. But before we get to that, Marco, you talk about the defensive structure. Let's just finish off our thoughts and our takes on what's going on defensively with Jacob Fowler as a call-up. Do you think there's a likeliness that they're waiting for Engstrom to get healthy before they make a move there? How legitimate of an option is David Reinbacher to perhaps provide more balance to the lefty-righty situation with the Canadiens? What do you think about Engstrom and David Reinbacher as a possible helpful solution for this team, maybe this week or when Engstrom gets back?
I mean, I made the prediction that they would be able to look at least one of them before the end of the season.
Right.
As we talked on a recent video, as of today, the Canadiens have enough cap space for them to call up David Reinbacher without having to send down Jacob Fowler. The same applies to Adam Engstrom. It's just he's injured as of right now. So we'll see where that goes. But I think eventually, not because I think they're the solution, but because I think it'll have to happen one day or another, they're going to have to call up David Reinbacher to see where he's at in his game, just to see. Because if they're going to make decisions on the future of their blue line, like I just finished talking about, then you're going to need the most amount of information possible. And you're going to need to see what he can do in the show, right? Given how well he's been playing in Laval of late, you want to see if it's transferable to the NHL. And if it isn't, then you can make you can make a call accordingly, right? And I think that's fair for a game or two. I don't see what the problem is, even if it's 10 to 15 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, it's 15 game. I prefer 10 to 15 minutes in the NHL than, 2025 in the American Hockey League if it's just for 1 or 2 games. I don't think it bothers me. You want to see what you can do with that player and how that player reacts to NHL speed and how do they get comfortable and how quick they adapt. That's basically what they would want to see. So I don't think that that's out of the question. I said it before. I think the 3 players the Canadians end up calling up are Fowler, done, Reinbacher, and Engstrom before the end of the season. That was my prediction last week.
How much more complicated did the Kirby Dach offseason plan just become? It's his 7th season, Marco, in the National Hockey League. He has yet to play a full 82-game slate. And as I mentioned moments ago, took that hit, left the game, sat on the bench, and then ultimately went behind the curtain. And we didn't see him again for the rest of Sunday night's loss to Anaheim. No update as of yet. In my view, it seems rather complicated now. Again, just to, I guess, re-educate the audience for a second, his qualifying offer, it's a hefty price tag. I'm curious what you think about, he's holding up the 4 number. I'm curious what you think about what might be a complicated issue to tackle now that Kirby Dach, and we don't know the extent of it, so I guess we'll tread carefully here, but your reaction to Dach and perhaps what the future has in store here.
Yeah, well, I don't think the Canadians are going to be signing Kirby Dach to a $4 million qualifying offer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't. And I don't think he's deserved it. And that's okay, because I don't think it's a lack of his skill. It's more he's not available, right? And so for me, when you see him play, like, I enjoy the way that he plays, but he's not a $4 million player. Like, right now, he's what he is. He's, $3 million oft injured, skilled top 9 winger. It is what it is. I like him, but the only way I can see it happening is if the Canadians either don't qualify him and then sign him to a cheaper deal, or outright sign like a 2 or 3 year extension at a more team friendly rate.
Mm-hmm.
Then I could see it. But if we're going to go down to the wire and wait for him to be qualified before July 1st, I don't think the Canadians are going to do that. I really, really don't. And, if you're Kirby Dach, you take, you get to a point where it's whether your qualifying offer, you take the $4 million qualifying offer and you don't even ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to stick around. I could see him agreeing to with the Canadians to not get qualified, and then as a free agent the next day sign with the Canadians on a team-friendly deal. I could definitely see that.
But isn't it? I mean, it's. But Marco, I mean, the team, the management, they're planning for something, are they not? They're planning for next year, the year beyond that. Michael Hage is knocking on the door. Alexander Zurovsky's, on the other block, making his way towards Montreal eventually, right? I mean, the timeline a little bit longer.
Not anytime soon.
And that's it. And that's, I guess that's the point I'm trying to make with Kirby Dach is, that old cliche in sports talk of your best ability is your availability. And that clearly isn't the case. This is very much an injury prone player. No hurt feelings. I hope he can come back and be a helpful contributor, but you just can't expect that. You can't rely on that. And that's why I wonder about, how do you plan for something? How do you take up a roster spot when you have guys on the come up? And how do you factor them into your plans? I think it's a complicated issue for this management to deal with and do so correctly without doing a misstep.
Yeah, I mean, this is where things get complicated, right? They have that trade that they want to revisit this summer, so that's probably going to impact the future in some way.
Right.
They've addressed the need to improve the right side of their defense. We want to see what David Reinbacher is going to do. David Reinbacher, recent agent change as well. So, that generally indicates, especially the fact that it's a familiar agent to the rest of the team, that probably indicates that the Canadians aren't in a rush to trade him just yet.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll factor in as well into that future, it does Reinbacher. So it'll be interesting to me to see how they go about this. I haven't heard anything specific to it, But I would be very interested to see if they sacrifice one of those left shot defensemen, and who's a good boy, and then bring in probably a right shot
Yeah.
in a trade like that, and then kind of move ahead so that the balance is better. And then eventually, with respect to the player, I think David Reinbacher eventually takes the spot currently occupied by Alex Carrier.
Lots of talk around the Canadiens. They tried to make a move on Friday's deadline. Looking at a defenseman again, some of the speculation that there was a defenseman maybe that wasn't publicly available that they were trying to pry away, and obviously that didn't happen. So clearly, I mean, if that's true, they're trying to fix. They at the very least they understand a major problem. And they tried to fix it.
I find it funny. I find this comment hilarious. When Engstrom is back, they will call up Engstrom and Reinbacher to have an experienced pair.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, Engstrom has 10 games of NHL experience, and it would be Reinbacher.
How many Reinbacher's at what, 0?
Yeah. I think he meant experience together.
Yeah.
Together. And I think that makes more sense.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But just to finish up on Dach for a second, do you believe that, speaking hypothetically here, obviously, that there are teams in the league that would find Dach appealing based on, again, his age, his size, and that a team could be sold on the belief that if this guy stays healthy, I wonder about that value.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really speak to that. I really cannot speak to that. The only thing I could really tell you about Kirby Dach's value is the Canadiens. I've heard his name out there before.
Yeah.
In trade talks, I don't know if the Canadiens were outright shopping him, but I heard his name out there before. Is there value? I don't know, especially with 2 injuries in the same season. I don't know. What I will say, though, in regards to Dach is, if this is a long-term injury, with the amount of players the Canadiens have signed for next year, and as you pointed out, Michael Hage coming in, I just don't see where Kirby fits. Right?
Yeah, I feel you.
And I feel like they have enough passers. They need more jam. If you're going to play a third and fourth line, you need to be physical. You need to hit. You need to push the pace. And right now they have so many, the Canadiens' bottom 6. Let's call a spade here. The Canadiens' bottom 6 has been an anchor for them since the start of this rebuild, and not in a good way. They've had one of the most expensive and one of the least performant bottom 6s since Kent Hughes took over. And this is not a Kent Hughes fault. Some of these are contracts that he inherited. There's not much you can do. But when the most performant bottom 6er right now is Phil Deneau from a points perspective,
right,
you have a problem. And so that's where I kind of bring this full circle, and I say, well, you're going to need to start funneling in high quality and in some cases low cost depth. And I think the Canadiens have to start making room for that, because they made room for all of their top, skillful prospects. Yes. But they're going to have to start funneling in some of the bruisers that they went out and got as well, that play with a little bit more jump. Because when the third or fourth line comes out, depending on who's on that line, because obviously yesterday they were mixing and matching, the speed is not there. There needs to be more speed, more jump. And that's where I feel like an Owen Beck, for example, would be better suited for some of these games down the stretch. Even if he's not going to blow your socks off offensively, physically there, speed is there, covers the ice well, really good in the face-off circle. It really kind of gets you going. And I think, Jake Evans has done a good job of late of kind of salvaging his season, because prior to the Olympic break, it was a little difficult. But I think of late he's played much better. I think they need more of that. They need more of that competitiveness in there to properly support, the top 2 lines. Because if the top line's not going, then you got to hope that the Demidov line is gonna take over. If not, you're not getting much value from that. There was one question I just wanted to get answered here, because I keep seeing his name come up, and I just want to make sure I get to it. Oh my God, My eyes hurt. I can't even read.
My retina.
Yeah, I can't even read. There was a question in regards to David Savard.
Well,
and
coming out of
whether or not-
retirement.
Yeah, well, so the thing is that any player that signs a contract after the trade deadline is ineligible for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to bring in a guy cold who hasn't played at all this year to and with respect. If y'all's memory is that short term that you don't remember what David Savard looked like at this time last year,
Come on. Yeah.
that's on y'all.
Yeah.
But that man is retired. And I hope that he is enjoying his time with his family because he more than well earned it. And that's all I got to say about that.
I want to talk about Michael Hage in a few minutes. They beat the Nittany Lions. Michael Hage had a goal. They're off to face the Ohio State Buckeyes in the championship game.
This is a funny comment. I don't know if GB 8814 watches Laval, but if you're gonna play, you don't need to be a top end scorer in the AHL to be a fourth liner in the NHL. Just saying.
100%. Fuck, that distracted me.
Hey, watch your language.
I had somewhere where I was going there. With Michael Hage and the Buckeyes coming up next weekend. I want to talk about Michael Hage and what's coming up there. But in the meantime, the power play, that's it. I want to talk about the power play. The Canadiens go a combined 0 for 7 in 2 games. I mean, they were pressing last night against Anaheim. Is this just a lack of what? What's kept this? I mean, they went into the game last night, 6th best power play unit, and leave the weekend with 0 power play goals on 7 opportunities. Is there anything that kind of stood out in the frustrating weekend for Habs fans?
Yeah, I keep seeing individuals say use Laine.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, man, I feel like we need to start playing reels of what the games looked like last year so that people could remember. When Patrick Laine was on the first power play wave, it didn't move.
Yeah.
It didn't move at all.
Nope.
You had one guy that stayed there.
It was predictable.
And it was so predictable by the end of it that the Canadiens went from a top 5 power play to a bottom 20 because everybody knew where the puck was. When you put Patrick Laine on a power play, everyone knows that's where it's going. It may have worked out at the very beginning, the first 15 games that he was on. But if you're going to play a possession style, speed oriented power play, I don't see how that works. I don't see how that works. It's way too easy. It's way too predictable. And with the current Canadiens power play, my thing is they're too cute about it. They keep trying for the perfect pass, perfect play. And ironically enough, you look at some of their you look at the goal that Slafkovsky scored. Wasn't this weekend? I think it was Thursday, where Demidov, Suzuki does a backhand pass that goes right across the zone. Demidov gets it. Quick pass over to Slafkovsky. Slafkovsky puts it in. Notice how they didn't have to do the crazy amount of passes. It was just taking advantage of open space and being decisive. That's what it is with the Canadiens, is they're not decisive enough. And when it comes time, that's where you need to really kind of get things going. And, I see comments like this. So what is the difference with the Caps with Ovi in that same spot? It works that much. Yes, we're talking about a goddamn generational scorer. Yes,
that's probably greatest goal scorer in the history of the NHL.
That's probably it. I don't know. And then maybe the most the highest point getting defenseman in the history of the Washington Capitals, John Carlsson, feeding him from the point. Oh, and playing with Nick Backstrom, who is a surefire Hall of Famer. I mean, I could keep going down the list on why it worked in Washington. It's not the same thing.
No.
And the Canadiens, that's the thing, is that unlike Ovechkin, Laine cannot move. Ovi can. Obviously now he's at the end of his career.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But at the same age as Laine, Ovi was wee in the offensive zone. Yes, he would stay parked there, but he would also move with the puck. If he got the puck at the point, He wouldn't try a dipsy doodle backhand to try and get it to the other point to John Carlsson at the time. No, he would outmuscle his coverage, make space, get the puck to another player.
I can't
and
believe
they
you're
would
going
keep
this
possession.
deep on this question.
Well, I mean, Jesus. Like,
I mean, come
people
on.
think that Patrick Laine is the magical solution to a power play. No, the magical solution to the Canadiens' power play is stop making the extra pass. Just go to the net. Look at their power plays. There's nobody in front of the net screening a goalie.
But
Go
hold
back
on,
to
like,
basics.
bro, they're the sixth best power play team in the NHL without Patrick Laine. They didn't get there by accident. I mean, they had
absolutely
numerous opportunities on Dostal
Absolutely
last
not.
night.
But
Like,
I think people need to understand that teams adapt.
of course.
Like, you could have been the top power play team in the NHL. But when teams have enough video and know your habits and know exactly what you're going to do, then you need to adapt. And when you get to this stage of the season, you cannot be a perimeter power play. You have to be able to attack the slot. They don't. It just goes from Suzuki to Caufield, Caufield, Suzuki, Suzuki, Hutson, Hutson, Demidov. Demidov tries a one-timer. It gets stopped, goes out the other way. And then sometimes it doesn't even get to Hutson. So I don't feel like it necessarily works. Laine would be a player that you could put on a power play on a team that has the established superstars that just need to get him the puck and that could cover for his lack of mobility. So you look at an Edmonton, you look at, Colorado, you look at, Florida. Those are the teams that would make more sense. Montreal doesn't work that way because if you put Laine on the power play, Caufield, like we saw last year, absolutely gets completely neutered off the power play. Then you got to probably take off Demidov to fit Laine there, which is probably going to piss off half the fan base as well. So there is no solution. There is no outside solution. There is internal solution. They need to change their habits on that power play. They have the talent. We know it. They're sixth. You just said it. Very capable of doing it.
And they have all year.
It's the extra passing.
Mm-hmm.
It's always trying to find the perfect play. And that may work in the regular season when systems are wide open. But we're in the last 15 games of the season. We're going to start seeing 2-1 and 1-0 games here. Well, I mean, if the Canadiens defense holds up, but you're going to start seeing tighter games. And if you want playoff hockey, well, then you got to look at playoff power plays. Hell, look at the Canadiens power plays from last year against Washington. What made it different? Net front. People around the net moving the puck, right? Mm-hmm. And that made the world of a difference. And
they've been good in the bumper too. They got Slav, Texier in the bumper. I mean, they've tried those.
That's my biggest problem. Is now Slav is playing too high in the bumper,
right? For
my liking. This is the thing. If he plays high on the bumper and you're looking for the triangle pass where it goes from Suzuki to Caufield to Slav, that's no problem. Sorry, I'm going to back up from the mic, but push off, right? Push off from the slot so you can get higher in the slot and take the one-timer, no problem. But if Demidov or Hutson, Demidov, Hutson, or Caufield are taking one-timers, your job is to shield the goalie, right? How many tips has Slafkovsky had in his career? I don't understand why we've moved away from this.
Mm-hmm.
You can do both on a power play, and I feel like they've only done one. So again, it's not to complain. It's really it's not to complain. It's very fixable, but I just don't feel like the fix is another player. It's strategic in general. I'll give you one better. The second wave of the Canadiens power play looks more conducive to success on the power play than the first one does. Not because of their talent, but because they always drive pucks to the net.
Well, for sure. And it makes sense. Especially if the first wave of the power play is going to get 80% of the minutes, the second wave is going to come out there and they're going to go balls to the wall. They're going to try to make something happen. I find they come with a more simplified, more energetic, because they're trying to maximize the few minutes, if not seconds, that they have there. Let's get to some questions, some super chats. Thank you, everybody. This from Half Horse Habs fan. The coach said the structure ain't at fault. The mistakes in the structure are the issue, that any structure ends up making mistakes. Thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, like any structure, if you don't follow it, then it'll fall apart. Right? Like, I mean, that's a building metaphor. That's a life metaphor. That's a metaphor for everything.
Well, that's why
But
MSL sounded so disappointed after that game. Like, you know,
how can you like? There's no way he walks in and goes, "Yeah, we were okay."
Correct. Yeah.
And again, we talk about that structure, right? But like, why was Gauthier so alone?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great play by Veal, but like again, why is he so alone?
Yep.
And I think that's
Structure.
when you get into a playoff situation. Like, remember back against Washington, people will say, "Oh, the reason why the Canadiens lost against Washington is they got, bullied." No. It's what we remember the most because those plays stick out. The reasons why the Canadiens lost against the Washington Capitals is because they left the slot so open you thought it was a dépanneur. So, again, yesterday, same concept. Caden Guhle gets walked on the first goal by Carlsson. Just waltzes right by his left.
Great goal,
problem.
Though. Great goal. Yeah.
But again, it's because they're taking advantage of blips in defensive systems that the Canadiens themselves are not. They have to score the craziest, most beautiful goals to score on the opponent, and then they hit half a dozen posts. But I just want when it comes to the way that they play, it's very much strategic. It's very much applying a certain vision of the team. I just don't know that they have that vision, or they have the players necessarily that can execute that vision fully at this stage.
Well,
we're almost there.
I think there's a laundry list of the reasons: just not reacting, not reading the situation, and then if you don't read the situation, you don't react, and when you do, you're just too slow. And to me, that was so defined by the Cutter Gauthier goal with Guhle, and then Hutson, and then Caufield. Again, there were 5 Canadian sweaters on the ice. The Ducks were in the middle of a line change, and they scored a goal with 2.5 minutes left. Mr. Niles wants to see Laine in front of the net because Todd Bertuzzi did it, and he'd also like to see Alex Tuch, Jared Davidson, Owen Beck, Adam Engstrom, David Reinbacher for anywhere from 3 to 4 games before the playoffs begin. Laval, he says,
unfortunately,
give them a shot.
Not.
How are you going to afford that?
A, the Canadiens can't afford it from a salary cap perspective.
Yeah.
B, they only have 4 call-ups left because of Jacob Fowler. You have a maximum of 5 after the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And there is no way that the Canadiens I'm just going to point this out. I don't know if you watch Philadelphia Flyers games.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is it. I really don't think that missing out on Ristolainen is what is going to cost the Canadiens making the playoffs. I really, 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 really do not.
They're not going to miss the playoffs. Don't worry.
Yeah,
They're not going to
like Ristolainen, but I don't even think David Reinbacher is that far off from being as good as Ristolainen. Like, I think it's just because he's big, he's strong, he can play that kind of game. But at $5.1 million, it's a little bit of an overpay. So, again, missing out on getting a right shot defenseman does hurt the Canadiens because, when it eventually does come out what the Canadiens tried to do, you're all going to lose your minds. Y'all are going to lose your minds.
Well, I wonder who that defenseman was. Everyone's speculating. I wonder who that defenseman was that they were speculating on. I mean, they tried to do something. Apparently, they tried
on D and at forward for sure. One bigger than the other, but when it does come out and when the Canadiens do circle back, hold on to your pants. The other thing I will say though, I'll give you an example. You look at this question. Did they ask about Dougie Hamilton? The last thing the Canadiens need is another $9 million offensive defenseman.
Yeah, all day.
Dougie Hamilton does not play physical, or else the very unphysical New Jersey Devils wouldn't be shopping him, right? That's something to consider. I don't think you need to go and get a big name player in this case. I think you simply just need to revamp your bottom pair with experienced physical defensemen.
Yep.
And then either David Reinbacher takes the second pair right D slot, or you make a trade for a top end right shot defenseman that plays a grounded defensive play. You don't need the superstar. What you need is a right shot Jacob Slavin at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's basically what it is. And those are few and far between. Teams that have them don't trade them. So the Canadiens either have to hope that David Reinbacher can develop into that, or we'll see where the market opens up this summer. But I don't think that that's what's going to make or break the Canadiens making the playoffs. You know, the Canadiens last week this time were second in the Atlantic, right? They got there on them. They got there on their own. It's not like they were gifted it. They did it on their own. You have one bad week, and yeah, I understand that the sky is falling for some. But at the same time, I'm gonna turn it around. If the Canadiens come out of this week with 75% win rate in their 4 games, ain't nobody going to be worried about it. And to be completely honest with you, they'll probably, if they do that, they'll probably be at like a 95% chance of making the playoffs. But I get it, reacting in the moment and the emotion of it. I get it.
Well, that's it. And at least, you know, I feel from a selfish perspective, I feel justified for talking about how the Canadiens were so missing that defenseman back in October. Yeah. I've been on this topic with you since October about the texture of the defense here.
I I see people bringing up like Jonathan Kovacevic or Kovacevic.
Wow, that's a new pronunciation. I've never heard that.
Well, that's actually how you pronounce his name, but he says Kovacevic so that people don't get all shot into a tizzy.
When Alex Kovalev is here, I used to go interview Alex Kovalev, and don't call me Alexei, call me Alex Kovalia. Yeah. No, call me Kovalev.
Yeah.
Like they've given up, you know, like just North Americanize my name. I don't care anymore, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's what they do, right? So when it comes to the way that he plays, I really do like Jonathan. I liked him when he was in Montreal, but not at his current price tag. And there's a reason a team like the New Jersey Devils, who just signed him to an extension, would consider trading him at this deadline. And it's because the injuries are going to start piling up now, and we're seeing it with Johnny. So I don't know that that's the play here. OEL makes a little bit more sense because he's more versatile, can play both ends, and has that championship winning pedigree. Where is he here? A lot of people brought up Whitecloud. The Flames did not want to move Whitecloud for anything less than like a first round pick plus, which is nuts for a bottom pair right shot defenseman. And also with the fact that they traded both Rasmus Anderson and Mackenzie Weegar, they absolutely needed a veteran on their right side, because you can't just have Parekh, Brutowitz, and you name it. You can't just have rookies. You need a vet there. So they have Kevin Ball and Zach Whitecloud as their top pair, which is hilarious in my opinion. So I don't necessarily think that would be the play, but we'll see what happens this summer.
From Paul, this always seems to be a Jack Guy beatdown. I'd like to hear Marco talk about Hutson. He hasn't been good in his own end. Jack Guy is a low-hanging fruit. I strongly disagree. And you know, wait, I mean, hold on.
When the hell did we talk about? I spoke about Jack Guy.
You mentioned Jack Guy earlier.
For 14 seconds. How is that a beatdown?
And the splits of Lane Hutson this year, left versus right side. I mean, it's unbelievable. The difference in the two from a 60-point, pace to a 100-point pace, playing on his strong side. I understand he won the Calder playing on the other side, but this is like comparing a hot dog to a Cadillac. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But this is not a Jack Guy beatdown. Like sometimes it gets to me. Like it's never personal. We're talking about the Canadiens. It's just never personal. Like, no, I don't have an agenda. I hope I don't come across it, but maybe I do. I don't have an anti-Jack Guy agenda. I'm
actually talking
the Stanley Cup. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I'm actually talking to TJ tonight for fans that are interested. But TJ Hughes is a top collegiate free agent playing for University of Michigan with Michael Hage.
Yeah.
He's going to sign this spring. Never mind this summer. Mildly fun vids. He will be signing as soon as Michigan's season ends. He will be signing an entry-level contract with an interested team. I have no information on whether Montreal is one of those, but I wouldn't hold my breath considering the amount of depth that Montreal has at forward. So I don't think that that's something you necessarily need to worry about. The other question we have here is, could you help me here? If Hage is to be added, where does he go? First line and Slav goes second and Newhook goes third. The answer is it doesn't matter because he's not going to start in the playoffs. If he plays a game or two, it'll be at the end of the regular season, probably on the road because it'll be the Islanders and the and the Flyers. And he'll, at that point, they'll just probably be resting some of their veterans, and that's where you're going to slot Michael Hage in. I wouldn't expect Michael Hage to be a starter for the Montreal Canadiens, especially not at center, to start in the playoffs, unless there's another major injury. Because let's see what happens with Kirby Dach. If all players are healthy, I don't think Michael Hage starts in the playoffs.
See how many games he gets. See what that looks.
That'll depend on when his season ends. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
If the season ends, because with Michael Hage, his season either ends on the 28th or 29th of March, or the 9th or 11th of April. So that's because of the National NCAA Championship. You have like the quarters, and then you have the Frozen Four. If Michigan, who is ranked either 1 or 2, I didn't check the pairwise lately. If Michigan gets to the Frozen Four, he likely only suits up, my opinion, probably for the last game of the season against the Philadelphia Flyers.
He's having a nice Big Ten, though. He scored the goal on the weekend to beat Gavin McKenna and the Nittany Lions, and now they got Ohio State next.
A lot of people are like, and again, I'm not going to speak ill of young players, okay? But a lot of people need to temper their expectations. Michael Hage has 1 even strength goal since January.
Yeah.
Like, everybody chill with Michael Hage. He's going to take the time that he takes. I don't think he's going to come in and be the difference maker that Cole Caufield was in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing I'm going to say is, with the way that he plays in Michigan, he's constantly the playmaker. He's the one that will make things happen. What I want to see from Michael at the NHL level when he gets there is the same problem I have with Demidov. I need him to be more selfish, take more shots, go to the net. We're seeing it from Demidov a little bit more since the Olympic break. The same thing that's the same concern I have with Michael Hage in general. Never mind, face-offs or whatnot.
Demidov had the jump in his game last night. Certainly, some nice moves. Just obviously lacked, like the Canadiens, just lacked the finishing. But who hasn't lacked the finishing? Only one guy has more goals than him in the NHL, and that's Nathan McKinnon. Cole Caufield, Marco, scored his 39th of the season. Max Pacioretty, the last 39 goal scorer for the Canadiens. 1 goal away from the magical number of 40. Got to go back to the Vinny Damphousse era. The last time a Habs forward did that. But, I mean, we're watching a guy possessed, scoring different ways, scoring from different spots. And, again, still all projected for a 48-goal season. What an unbelievable year Cole Caufield is having. Love to watch it. Love to see it. Well, and he's been hot against the Bruins, too. He's a Bruins killer, too.
I like him. I honestly, I think it's a hot take, but I like Cole Caufield. Hey,
sizzling.
I think Cole Caufield, I remember people complaining when he signed his contract. I remember seeing some of the armchair general managers on social media saying that the Canadiens should trade him. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You have some colorful folks online, but what I would say is Cole Caufield is and will forever be, for me, probably one of the greatest goal scorers of his era when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
And I think he's great in what he does. And what I like about Cole Caufield is little by little, he's become more of a complete player, and it kind of helps him in his offense as well. And that's why I believe he's going to be between 45 and 50 goals between the end of the season. And I think that is an exceptional outcome for Montreal, because they haven't had one in 30 years, 29 years.
Mm-hmm.
Nuts. And then you're going to probably have a 90+ point center in Nick Suzuki, which also hasn't happened since like 97 or 98.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely bonkers, guys. So again, consistency, they're great. I really like them. Cole's 200-foot game continues to improve. And again, he's a gamer when the puck is on the line. So I look forward to seeing him in the playoffs to see if he can continue that.
I mean, Marco, they're probably going to have 6 guys that hit 50 points. I mean, there's 5 already that are 50 or more. Noah Dobson's on 45 points. Like, scoring goals is not the issue here.
And Dobson's got 4 points in his last 4 games or 5 games. So he's almost there, man. Like, he's close.
I know.
So I've said it before. I think that you're going to see 6 players get to 50 points.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very tight. I think maybe Demidov might not make it there, but I think Slafkovsky has a good chance of maybe getting close. Canadians may have 4 players with 70 points. That could be very interesting.
That's wild. Demidov is on, I think, 66-point pace. Suzuki, 97-point pace. Caufield, 48 goal pace.
Slavkovsky has 55 points in 66 games, right? That's nothing to laugh at. That's a lot. And I think he'll probably fall somewhere between 65 and 70 points, which I think if you had told folks at the beginning of the season that would be the outcome, everybody would have taken that.
I mean, again, I hate to repeat myself, but I'm going to. I mean, he's 21 years old, man. Like, I mean, Tage Thompson has 34 goals and 70 points for the Sabres, and he's 28 years old. I mean, how far-fetched is that? That when 5 years from now, those are the numbers that maybe Juraj Slavkovsky is probably looking at. Is that far-fetched or is that grounded?
Well, I think at the same age, Juraj Slavkovsky is better than what Tage Thompson was at 21. Hot take, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, it's all about development. Like I don't think anybody thought that Tage would be that good.
Right. It took him a while to become who he became, right?
Yeah, those are bigger players. That's what happens. It'll be interesting. But I like the way he plays, Uri. Sometimes just a little bit of inconsistency in his vision in the way of his execution. But I think with maturity, the more he plays in the playoffs, man, oh man, he's going to be a dangerous, dangerous player. And again, he signed for what, another 7 years?
Yeah.
Or no, his contract started this year, did it not?
This year. This was the first year.
Yeah, another 7 years after this one. Just absolutely insane. So I think the sky's the limit for him. I've always said it. If he can become a 70-point winger with the way that he plays,
wow.
Check that off as a job well done for Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon, because the Canadiens rarely get it right at the top of the draft.
No kidding, man. And again, on pace for a 68-point season this year. So if he stays on track and produces at the clip he's been producing at, might be surprised, might get there earlier than some think. The Starr D'Amico Show right here on YouTube.com or wherever you get your audio podcast. From this name always gets me. It's like a tongue twister. Half horse Habs fan. Who do you like in Laval now or coming up that would be a good piece for the Habs bottom six when Gallagher and Josh Anderson's contract expire?
Well, I spoke about Beck. I spoke about Florian Jacki. Those are guys I really like. Gonna have to see what ends up happening with Logan Sawyer as well. I know his point totals aren't sexy in Providence. Nobody's are, to be honest with you. Providence is one of the lowest scoring teams in all of the NCAA, but at nearly 6'3" and almost 200 pounds, he's got the power forward build and he's got the skills to go with it. So just an interesting player for me to keep an eye on as well. We'll see what happens with Vincent's Rohrer when he makes the jump to North America. Hasn't had a really good season in Switzerland this year. And then, like I said, I think there's going to be a mix of those younger players, but also you're going to start to see the Canadiens, maybe be a little bit more aggressive during trade deadline, or even during free agency to try and go and pick up some of these premier bottom six guys.
And who was it? Who was it that just signed with the Laval Rocket?
Bentley?
Middlestat?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, there was Luke Middlestat that signed out of the University of Michigan.
That's it.
He was a Canadian 7th round pick. They also signed Quillen Bentley out of UMass Lowell. He's a 6'4", 200-pound forward, but he'll mostly play the wing. I thought those were good ads. The Canadiens are going to need some depth in that regard. I think that William Trudeau will probably move on after this year. We'll see what happens, but that's not the feeling I have. And then next year you'll have Middlestat, you'll have Owen Protz, and you'll have Bryce Pickford making the jump to Laval. So I think it makes a little bit more sense. Yes, they did trade Kidney, and thankfully you have two.
Look, how sick can you be when your brain's working that fast? Come on.
With Marco, with what Demidov is showing in his first full season, do you see the Habs signing him to a similar contract to Lane Hutson? Listen, I saw a couple of my colleagues at BitPam Sport say that they think that Ivan Demidov is going to sign over $10 million. And this is all I got to say. If you think anybody on the Montreal Canadiens roster is signing for $10 million prior to Nick Suzuki's contract expiring, you're not paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
You're not paying attention. Like if Demidov gets 65, 66 points here, he's on the exact same level offensively as a defenseman in the name of Lane Hutson, who won the Calder. They both are the same status of RFA. 10-2C RFA, ineligible for offer sheets, ineligible for arbitration. We'll probably have something a little bit more in depth in the summer, but I would be shocked if it were over 10 million. Heck, I'd be shocked if it were over 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe signing Demidov is the last major thing for the organization. If they can get Demidov signed, they're good to go. And a lot of people will say stuff like inflation is a thing, though. Not here, buddy. Not here. Not with Kent Hughes. The best thing that I could tell you when it comes to inflation is if you look at other players that broke bank, they had 2 or 3 years of experience under their belt before they extended their contract. Demidov will have 1. And a lot of people have also mentioned to me that the fact that Demidov has all these, like he's basically open for business and has all these, sponsors, and it's all about the money. Demidov's best friend with the Montreal Canadiens is Lane Hutson. What did Lane Hutson do this year? He took less to stay in Montreal. You don't think that that's going to have an effect on Ivan? I 100% do, because then you try to go and break bank. You try to push for $11 million. You go back to that room. What does that look like?
Well, for sure. I mean, you're such an outlier, and it's more. It's Hutson, and it's more. I mean, it's the whole culture, everything they've been building. I mean, they all publicly speak about building something here, and that not everyone's in it. I mean, the money is the money. You're going to be a multimillionaire no matter what, right? But they've definitely built and established this culture that money doesn't rule the day for the players inside this organization. And the expectation, you would think the reasonable one is he kind of falls in line and becomes a key spoke in the wheel for the Canadiens moving forward.
Yeah. The Canadiens don't want a $10 million player. That's why I'm almost we're going to hear a lot about him this summer, Jason Robertson. That's why I almost 100% believe they wouldn't go for a guy like Jason Robertson, because that would blow up their entire salary structure. He'd probably ask for $14 million, right? I don't think that they would go that way. So I think 8.5 is low, but I think anywhere between 8.5 and 9.5 is the sweet spot at 8 years. And you also have to factor something in, ladies and gentlemen. The Canadiens are one of the few organizations in the NHL that could front load contracts still, because you could do that up until the 16th of September. So like Lane Hutson, completely front loaded so that these kids can get their money sooner and invest it right away, so that they can have more money in their pocket in real dollars by the end of their deal, because they can invest it and make it grow during the length of that contract. A, and B, when it comes to the Canadiens as well, when you sign a contract with them and you sign long term, all of a sudden the sponsorship the sponsorship address book opens.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the Canadiens partners become available to you as potential sponsors as well. So it's not just the contract, it's the opportunity. And I think that's something you have to factor in, because I know on good quality terms, that it's been a factor in negotiations with some of these players over the last couple of years.
You have good fortune to. What's that? Go ahead.
I was going to say, and that's why Kent has been able to keep things in check when it comes to their salary structure.
We've partnered with the best in Montreal businesses. We love to support local here on this channel. Cheapest t-shirts and Insta customs, whether you need anything for your kid's birthday party, or maybe you got a bachelorette party, order today, design your own, ship and get it tomorrow. McLean's Pub at 1420 Peel Street, the real deal on Peel. The best spot in Montreal before or after the game. Great food, great drink, an unbelievable ambiance. And if you're looking to make sure that your family is well protected, your cherished belongings are well protected, Cabletel.com has the best technology at the best rates in the home security business. Find out more information at Cabletel.com. And big shout out to Morella's Steakhouse. Our winner is going to the Habs and Bruins game tomorrow with luxury transportation and $200 at Morella's, Highway 132, 15 minutes from Montreal, and all your pets' needs, thanks to our friends at Little Bear Pet Supply. Good stuff as always. Thank you so much for being with us on this Monday. I hate Sunday night hockey games. Good thing for me, though, there are 3 more to go before the end of the regular season. Yippee-ki-yay, mother. Yay. But back to Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday this week for the Canadiens, and then the following weekend they're playing again on Sunday. But here we go. It's Boston, Detroit, and the New York Islanders all in order coming up this weekend with 2 of those 3 at the Bell Center. Looking forward to another massive week. Marco, rest up. And
yes, sir.
We'll be back the rest of the week. As always, like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. The march to 15,000 subscribers, Marco, is going on well, isn't it?
Yes, very well. And we thank you for continuing to stay with us. We'll have more content for you during the week. And of course, as we get into the later stages of the season and well into the draft and free agency. So make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll be back to you probably tomorrow with something new.
Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. See ya.